Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to quite a philosophical video today on my channel. And those of you who are new to this channel because you're interested in time and timepieces, welcome. This is where I talk about astrology, Vedic astrology. But, Vedic astrology is all based on timing events, seeing the time of the past and the coming future and the present situation. So everything is time, especially with what I do. And so today I wanted to make a video on value of time and why especially having time on your wrist is very important. And this is only my philosophical spiritual beliefs. There's nothing written. Okay, these are not word of gods or word of some spiritual saint. This is just word of this common human being. So as you all know that I love wristwatches. I love watches. I've been fascinated with watches in my early 20s. And especially for me, big watches. Like I always loved big dialed watches, like minimum of 50 millimeter. Okay. And this is actually started from back in, I think, when I was either 22, 23, I saw some guy wearing the actual Russian diver watch. It was the actual 1965 or 55 watch, which is like 56 millimeter. It's called Zadal Vodalis. And I'm like, what is this guy? What does he have on his wrist? Oh my God. What do you have? What do you have? And I kept following this guy. Like, I want to see what he has. And I'm like, whoa. And then he just went into some TV electronic store. And so since then, I'm like, wow, I want a big watch like that. I want a big watch like that. But the question becomes, why is it that a particular human being is fascinated with time, fascinated with wanting to know time and the machinery that tells you time? Well, if we look things astrologically, whenever you have nodes working powerfully in your chart, Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the north node of the moon, Ketu is the south node of the moon. When they're powerfully placed in your chart, a person is naturally fascinated with space and time. They want to know the past. They want to know the future. They want to know what's beyond the time that has been given to me. And what was the time that was given to me in the past? So, especially for those who want to know astrologically, whenever you have planets sitting in the nakshatra, meaning the constellation of Rahu and Ketu, will give fascination with time and watches. Then, especially when Rahu and Ketu are in a certain position from your moon, because moon is the reason why the nodes are present. When they're in a certain position from the moon, it gives a great interest towards wanting to chase time. It's about chasing time. And it's about valuing time. So when nodes are in a certain houses from the moon, one values these things related to the nodes, which is the present, past, and the future. But today, what I want to talk about is why to have a wristwatch and why to value time, why have a value of time on your wrist. And this all started just 2 nights ago, I think 2 or 3 nights ago, when I was writing towards the end of my Ketu script that I'm writing for my movie, Meeting Ketu. And it was like, I think almost midnight. And I looked at my watch. I'm like, what time is it? Okay, it's 11:50. Okay. And then suddenly just hit me. And it just like hits you like a jolt. Like every information just comes in about why you looked at that watch. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is why is it that you should always value a particular timepiece on your wrist? And this is especially for those people who are attracted towards time. If you're not attracted, you don't even need to watch this video. It's okay. But the thing is, a watch which tells you time, which tells you a piece of information about your life, about your lifespan, is just as powerful as your soul. Because I am made up of this biomechanical suit, made up of atoms, electrons, muscles, and blood, and then vessels, and veins, hair. All this biomechanical suit that you see is made up of some material. Okay, and you can create the exact same me probably now in a machine in Area 51 or something. But what gives me a value is the soul. The soul that comes in, that sets in. I said, okay, let me start operating this thing. Okay, let's go. All right, I'm a baby right now. All right, I'm a teenager and my hormones are going. All right, let's maneuver here. Oh, I like that girl. Let's marry that girl. That's the soul. That kind of pushes your biomechanical suit to a certain destination. What happens with a watch, and this is why it's very important. And before I even get into the subject, one thing you have to realize, you wearing any kind of a watch, if you just pick up a watch that you like and you wear it, like, okay, it may not hold the same sentimental as if you wore a watch which was very valuable. And now you must be thinking, oh, is he talking about those expensive watches, $100,000 watches? No. I'm talking about a watch that is valuable to you. It's very important that you need to have that relationship with the timepiece. First of all, why am I buying this particular timepiece? What is the relationship of me with this timepiece? Do I actually value this piece of time? Because somebody can just gift you a $20 watch and you'll wear it, you'll lose it, you'll put it somewhere, gone, lost. Okay, I'll buy another watch. It's important to value the piece that you wear on your wrist, because that value on your wrist will help you value time. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's go into a little bit more detail. When you buy something, right? You wanted to buy that car that you always wanted, and you worked hard for it. For you, you had a poster of that car on your cubicle. Like, I want this. You had the poster of that car on your room in your office. And then when you started getting promotions, when you started making money, and then just suddenly you got some big bonus, and you were like, oh my God, I can actually get this car that I wanted. And then you go and get that car. Now, you had a car that you were driving, but as soon as you were able to get that car that was valuable to you, this other car that you were just wearing to travel from place to place just goes. And now that this car has come in, it holds this value to you. This is why some men and women name their cars. They keep working on that car. They keep designing that, making that car better. They don't want to let go of that car. They give their car a name because there's some sentimental value to it. Same thing happens with watches. When you buy a watch that you can just buy, it'll just tell you time, and that's it. But it will not tell you the value of time. And this is why my philosophy is that you should buy a watch which is 1 or 2% of your entire income that you made in that year. Just 1 or 2% of that entire that salary that you made, you should buy a watch. And this is my own personal opinion. You can go buy a 50% of your salary. I don't care. It's your choice. Because when you buy a timepiece which is valuable to you, not value in the market, valuable to you, you will cherish that timepiece. You will take care of that timepiece. Just like you take care of your body, you take a shower every day, you groom yourself, you wear nice clothes. Same way, you're going to start cherishing and valuing that timepiece. You're going to be like, okay, let me get the lubrication in there. Let me go and get it serviced. Because you have this sentimental relationship. You wanted that timepiece. So it's very important. Then don't just, after this video, go buy some watch. You have to understand that, okay, do I need to work hard for this watch that I want? Does this watch cost enough where I feel like, oh my God, I'm holding some value in my hand? That's the number one important thing about understanding the value of time, understanding the value how this universe works, is that you need to have that relationship with it. Perhaps your mother gave you a watch, your father gave you a watch, and you have that value. So that's a very important thing. Then the second thing you realize is that especially for those people who buy like expensive watches, people who go buy Rolex, okay? And this is actually something I learned from a particular book. It's this particular book that I actually got. So this is the book. It's called, what is it called? About Time. About Time, I know the title of the book. So this is the book that, you know, I bought because I was getting so into watches that I wanted to know the history, the artistry, and most importantly, the story behind a watch. So especially in this book, you know, you will find why certain people, you know, where like you can hear the story of this person, he's like a mountain climber. For him, why this watch holds this importance, why a certain timepiece, though every watch has a story to tell, you know, and this is where it makes life even more interesting. So you're at a party and somebody asks you, wow, that's a nice watch. Oh, then what happens is you're able to tell them, yes, I love this timepiece because this reason, and this does this. So not only it creates a conversation with another human being, but you're able to tell a story about your timepiece, but then it helps you value that timepiece even more. It helps you value that timepiece even more because somebody just appreciated that timepiece. And because so many of you have commented, what watches do you wear? I love your watches. So it's like, I'm like, all right, you know, people keep asking me. I've made a video on this before too in 2013, or actually no, 12. But now, because when I was hit with that information, with that Ketu video, I'm like, okay, now is the proper time to make this particular video. Well, this is actually one of my favorite watches here, Tag Huere, which I have on. You read the story because you see that there's a story behind every timepiece. Why is it that this person just bought a Rolex? Sure, Rolex is Rolex, Patek Philippee, and Piguet, Omega. All these are classic brand names, Cartier, and they have like diamonds and all that, and so that's why they're so expensive. What makes a timepiece expensive? A $20 watch versus a $200,000 watch. See, it's just like a human being. Like I was telling you about my biomechanical suit. What happens is somebody took time. There were 2 or 3 people working on a single timepiece, which took at least minimum of 2 years to make that single watch. They were like putting 1 piece, then 2 pieces or 3 pieces in one day. They weren't putting like 20% of the watch in one day. They were taking 1 piece by one piece and making sure that it is properly proportioned. So a watchmaker who put his time, sweat, tears into one timepiece was in a way a god of this watch. He was putting that piece together like a human body, bone by bone, fragment by fragment. And then there comes a time, and especially if you read books like these, there's like a special period, a time when a watchmaker is like, okay, today I'm going to give this watch a soul. So what they do, once everything is assembled, they'll turn the watch, and with a special tool, they click it. And what happens is, then everything just starts working. You see those 2,000 parts 500 parts, 800 parts suddenly started working. And when you turn that piece around, that beautiful piece of time, it starts clicking. The seconds start moving. The minutes start moving. The hours start moving. That is now a birth of a human body in a watch form. And that's where I understood why. Why is it that some of these men who strive to get those expensive watches, because they don't want to go in a watch, oh, this is beautiful, let me get it. Some of these people, they want to know who made this watch. How long did it take? Who's the person, who's the artist behind this watch? Like some of these people, when you go in a big watch store, they will like go into the back room and the salesman will tell them the piece, will tell them who made it, the name of the watchmaker, what are their qualifications. And when you see that timepiece, that's where you then value time. So when you wear that piece of wristwatch on your wrist, and when you look at the time, you're like, okay, it's 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. And then you realize it's 11 a.m. That means I probably have 8 or 9 hours to do whatever I want to do today. You look at the watch at 3. You're like, okay, at 6 o'clock, this event is supposed to take place in my life. So let's say whether you're going to some party or anniversary, a watch is helping you create your future and to understand time. And the way you understand time is by having the value of time on your wrist. So this way, when you know it's 3 p.m., you will know, wow, a day is coming to an end. I'm going to go to sleep and then I'll wake up again tomorrow. So then what happens is psychologically, at least for me, when I started valuing watches 6-7 years ago, for me then it became a thing about accomplishing things. Being accomplished, okay, I got this timepiece that I value so much. And because now I have the value of time, I don't want to waste time. Thank you. Thank you, watch, for telling me that I should not be wasting time. Okay, let me write my book. Let me do this. And especially for me, when I got this watch, you've probably seen this watch, me wear this watch for the last, 4 years, 5 years. I got this watch as a sentimental of an accomplishment. I got this watch as a small thank you to myself for working hard, for staying up late night, to making sure that one chapter was complete. And that's when I got this watch of mine, this Tag Huere Monaco. Because when I first released my book, Conjunction at the Speed of Light, which shows all the planetary conjunction from 2 all the way to like 6, 7, 8 conjunction, that's the book I value till date, more than any other book that I have written. Because first of all, that's the book that I always wanted to read in my life. Since I was 19, or since I was actually 21, 22, I always just used to search in bookstores back then, in the early 2000s. Is there any book on conjunctions? And then I would be bothering my uncle, who is an astrologer in India. So what is this conjunction of Saturn, Moon, Venus means? What is the conjunction of Jupiter, Ketu, Saturn, Sun means? And then he would be, he would just get frustrated at me. He's like, okay, look, know the meaning of these planets. And when they're together, this is how you look at the houses, see how this is going to match up. I'm like, okay. So after a certain time of bothering my uncle over and over again, then I started to understand conjunctions. And then I'm like, wow, if I have understood conjunctions to whatever level I have understood them, let me now give that to the world. I want someone out there like me who's been searching for conjunctions to know about conjunctions, to know about all these 5 planetary conjunctions that you're searching for. That's what kind of like my mission was with conjunction. And when my book released, At that time, you know, my fiance, now my wife, we released it together. She was holding my hand and I'm like, okay, should I say publish? Say, okay, let's say publish. I wasn't looking at any horoscopes. I wasn't looking at any pressure or nothing. It was just like, okay, I'm going to release it at 12 a.m. Ready? Click. And to this day, that has been the most sellable book for me. And so within literally a week, within 1 week of that book releasing back in 2013, it literally, whatever I used to make in 1 year, it did that in 1 week for me. And that's when I'm like, wow. That's when the very first thought, when I saw the value that I put into my book, the hard work that I put into my book, staying up till 3 a.m. back when I was young, I'm like, my God, I can. And this is the first thought that came in when you make good money and you're like, what do I do? The first thing that came to my mind was, wow, I want to get my watch, my dream watch. I want to get my dream watch. And my dream watch was always, since 2010 or 11, this Monaco that I saw. And I don't know where I saw it. I still try to remember to this day why I was fascinated with this particular timepiece. What was it? First of all, the reason why I loved this piece, because it's very technical. It's like an architect. It's like an architect working its way. And when I saw this watch, mentally, I felt very technical. Mentally, I'm like, when I saw this watch, I think, either it was some TV show that I was watching, either it was Breaking Bad, or it was somebody wearing the watch that I must have seen it. Or maybe I saw it. To this day, honestly, I wish I remember. I'll try to remember it. I'll try to meditate on it. But when I saw this watch, and especially when I went to the mall, I was looking, I'm like, where's this watch? Where's this watch? And then this one store in South Coast Plaza in Southern California, when I was living there, had this watch on the display, and I looked at it. And right there, it connected with me. Like, yes, I'm your friend. And what it did, whenever I looked at a watch, and especially when the internet came, internet was thriving, obviously back in 2010, I would just look at this watch. And for me, it helped me think technically. That's what it did. This watch, this particular watch, helped me think technically. I'm like, you're such a technical timepiece, something in my brain making me do a lot of technical things. So that's when I technically wanted to present astrology in a very technical manner. Wanting to arrange it like a timepiece, how it's arranged and how it's beautiful from outside. I'm like, I want to make something which is like A through Z. And I'll start from A, B, C, D. And this is why when you guys, say, well, you're making these videos that are for amateurs. What are you talking about? Oh my God, you don't know astrology at all. You think like sun in the 10th house, or in the sign of Scorpio is going to tell about the whole horoscope. What you guys, some of you guys who comment this don't realize, when you are learning astrology, aren't you supposed to learn what sun in the 10th house in the sign of Gemini might do? Or what sun in the 10th house in the sign of Aries might do? You have to learn it. So why is it that I need to just present a final piece without showing you piece by piece how to make a watch? This astrology and watchmaking is the same. You take piece, you learn it. You take a piece, you put it on. So I'm like showing piece and teaching you all the pieces. These are all the pieces that makes an astrological analysis. And this is why I value this, because for me, whenever I'm looking at time, like, okay, so I need to make a video now. Oh, I need to do this reading now. Oh, I need to write my script now. It helps me to accomplish things and move forward. Like, okay, I'm not wasting my time. When I go on the other side, whenever that is, I am going to leave so much work behind to help other people. And how did that happen? Mentally, it happened due to a watch. So this is my particular philosophical reason. Then the other sentimental reason that becomes, it's a very simple item. Very simple. It doesn't do like in one of my, I have like actually 3 books on watches. One of the things that people talk about, even on videos, they have spoken about this, how if you look at a cell phone, people have cell phones now, right? iWatches, cell phones. Oh, I can tell a time. I don't need to tell time. And I don't know who this gentleman was. There's actually 3 or 4 people who have talked about this, even on YouTube, where a watch doesn't do anything but tell you time. That's it. It doesn't do anything but tell you time. And if your phone or your iWatch or any kind of like a computerized watch runs out of battery, good luck. Now you're going to have to go and ask someone. Or if let's say you're in an airport, you're going to have to look at some screen. Or if you're nowhere, well, good luck. But a watch, which is just a simple watch, and especially a mechanical watch, not even a battery operated. This is why I love mechanical watches. They are functioning with the universe. They're like, I don't need some separate device to charge me. I am charged within. Just like I don't need a battery. Kapiel Raaj doesn't need a battery to be plugged in every night. What I need is food and water. So what is a food and water for a watch? You wind the watch. Or especially for a watch, I'll show you guys in the close-up in the back of a watch. So if you look at the back of this watch, okay, you can see the rotator right there and all the internal mechanism of the watch, which again, that helps me appreciate, how many hours, how many work hours and dedication and love went into making this watch. So this is the back. This is why I love open back watches as well, because for me, it's like all about looking inside. What's inside, how it was made, what is it that makes this timepiece work so well. So that's another reason why I love this particular watch, because it is something which is not only technically beautiful, but it's something that, shows you how am I working? How am I energizing you as a human soul? The manufacturer, the designer of this watch says, I'm not going to put winder on the right side. It's too easy. You're going to always wind it. I want it to be on the left hand side. Why? Because I want you to forget about winding a watch. As long as it's on your wrist, it'll be alive. And my God, that statement just resonated with me. And that statement came back just 3 days ago when I was writing my script and I looked at the watch and I saw the design of the watch just quickly, nanosecond. And I started writing and I'm like, oh my God, yes. This watch is functioning with me. With my movement, this watch is alive. So for me, I'm not even into battery operated watches. Watches that you have to change a battery on. I'm into a watch that functions, stays alive with me. And I'm the one who feeds water, because it's like a pet. Like you feed your pet, you feed your friend. I don't even like calling pets pets, man. They're family. You feed your dog food, you give them water, you pet them and love them. Same thing happens with me. I am the one in the morning. When the watch is stopped, I am the one who winds it, fixes the time, and the watch starts moving. I'm like, hey, how are you? Good. You're alive. Okay, great. Let's go to work. This is why whenever I work, whenever I'm writing, whenever I am doing my readings, whenever I am dealing with some of my other businesses, I always wear a watch. Even if nobody's around me and I have a computer telling me the time, I don't like looking at that time. What I want to know is you, because I have this relationship with you. I am bonded to you because I worked so hard, and all throughout my existence, I wanted a watch that I can relate to. And then I finally found you back in 2009 or 10. But then I had to work hard to get you. So if I had to work so hard to get you, I'm going to value you throughout my life, no matter what the circumstances are, because you helped me to accomplish something. You drove me to a certain point. But again, most of you will be like, Kapil, I'm self-driven. I don't need a time of peace. I mean, if what motivates me is my children or my mother or my father, absolutely. That I'm not arguing that, man. I'm just saying this is my personal thing. And for people who wear watches, who love watches, this is why I no longer like to wear any kind of like a cheap watch. It's not because, oh, look at me. No, it's because when I want to buy a next watch, because this is why, and I just told you 3 weeks ago when I made a video, I just gave away all my cheap watches. I just gave them out. I did not want them. I did not relate to them. I'm like, they're just sitting there in this wooden box, and I never wear them because I don't value them. I value only 1, 2, maybe maximum 2 or 3 watches that I have right now. And this is the most valuable because it made me strive to always succeed. And the reason why I value this particular timepiece so much, because this was actually stolen from me. When we moved from California to DC, I put my watch in a drawer in a particular case with the rest of my other stuff and my other watches. And when we came here, all our stuff was wet in the truck. Everything was wet, and they just quickly putting the boxes quickly. Okay. And I was out. I was buying some other furniture for the home, and my wife is like, oh, they're here, I'm coming back. By the time I came back, the truck is turned around and leaving. And that's when I opened my drawer. This was missing. I was so upset. Of course, you can't prove it that they took it, the movers, but I knew when I was moving, it was put into the thing. Where did it go? How come all the other watches weren't taken? Why? Because the other watches were, just a very generic, cheap watches. And this was that one watch that I lost. And since then, since the last 2 years, I was like saving on the side, little by little, by little, by little, by little. Took me almost now 3 years to save it again so I can get it. This is how much I value this watch. Because I had the caliber 12 before, now I have the caliber 11. But, this is why it's so much value to me, because the previous one is the reason why I worked so hard. So, yeah, that was another, oh man, that was like very, very disturbing to me. When I tried to make a video when I first moved here, I'm like, oh, let me wear that watch again. Gone. So whatever strives you. So, and remember, this is only for people who will understand this. And this is why you have to have your astrological placement, like your planetary placement has to be in certain nakshatras, like either in your birth nakshatra or Navamsha chart nakshatra have to have powerful influence of Rahu Ketu nakshatras and placement of Rahu from the moon, not even the sun, from the moon. Either you want to chase time or value time. So this is my little video that I wanted to make for all the people who love watches and all the people who don't know why is this crazy man, fascinated with watches. This is my reason. And this is always my reason. Like, for me, time is now valuable. I see all these stories. 19-year-old passed away, 30-year-old passed away, 45-year-old passed away. And here we mentally think that, oh yeah, when I'm 65 or 75 or 80, yeah, we're gonna go. No, you do not know when you're gonna go. And this is why you have to value time. So whenever I turn my camera off, if you saw me on my personal life, it's like it's like stealth mode. I'm always in stealth mode. I'm always working on something. I'm like, what do I do? What do I present? What do I need to tell these people about? Anything that I learn. Remember this about me. Whenever I learn something new, I give it out. I don't care if a teacher is mad at me. I don't care if some guru is mad at me. For me, I'm like, if something happens to me and I learned this valuable information and it's just sitting there in my soul on my hard drive that is not going to be reborn, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm like, if I learn it, I'm going to give it out. So this way now it gets passed on. Now 10 people know it, 20 people know it. So, that's these are my missions. Like, I want to just give, if I could give everything at one go, that would be a dream. But obviously that can't be happening, at least not until I have 20 of me working at the same time. And so, that's my love for watches and why I love watches. Okay. So anyway, guys, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below, because you're probably fascinated with time, and all I talk about is time and space. That's it. And if you really want to know, if you have, nakshatras of Rahu and Ketu in your birth chart, where placements are, so you can see, maybe you can relate to, for that, check out the links here. And also, one thing I want to say, the other nakshatras that I have seen who love technical watches, not just a plain watch, technical watches, are who have Chitra nakshatra in their chart. Chitra nakshatra becomes very important. Dhanishta nakshatra becomes very important. Such people love watches. Now, someone will say, I have Dhanishta or Chitra nakshatra, I don't love watches. Well, again, let me explain to you. First, you have to have the combination of loving a watch. If you don't have that combination and then you have Chitra nakshatra, you might just be a person who loves photography or technical things or architecture. That's it. So it's like telling some engineer, oh, you have a chart of an astrologer, but he's like, the classic says, I have a chart of an astrologer, but I'm not. I'm an engineer. See, they're wrong. No, those combinations is only going to be found people who are astrologers. People who follow astrology and professionally practice it will have some combination. 20 million people may have the same combination. But the ones who follow astrology will have those combinations. That's all. Okay? So, thank you guys, and see you next time. Bye-bye.